All right, we are live. So I'm just going to do a couple of social media announcements because I didn't have time to do them earlier. But after that, we will get started. So yeah. Anyways, in the meantime, while I do this, I had a really fun time on the stream yesterday. Uh, it kind of turned into a what I will call a Slav party. Uh, So that was pretty hilarious. We had input about swear words from Serbia and Poland and Russia, and I am, of course, Canadian, but I have heritage from the land of potato. I, you know, more specifically, I'm part Polish, but it's all they're all pretty Slavic. He's he's not Polish. He's not Serbian. He's not Russian. He's Slavic. Anyways, I should be careful saying stuff like that in this day and age because people get very upset. But yeah. Anyways, today's going to be. Let's see if we have anyone listening. Oh wow, already. So today, what I would like to do is over the past couple of days, what I have been doing is basically just kind of randomly going around and building things on the application, and there will be a lot of that stuff. I'll continue. Sorry, I got one more social media announcement to do, and then I'll just carry on here. Okay. I really need to improve all my social media. All the thumbnails and all that stuff are really low quality because I didn't really understand resolutions very well back then. So I got to work on that stuff. So, anyways, today, what are we doing? I would like to learn how to use Dagger 2 for my dependency injection stuff. So, so how I've been doing dependency injection before is, as you can see here, I have one of these classes which is called. There we go. I've got. So whenever I want to do dependency injection, basically what it requires me doing is, let's see here. So, for example, let's say I wanted to hey, what's up, Vikas? Yeah, absolutely, Vikas. We can go over that next. It's I just did a new commit. Now, just be aware that that code is that code's not quite complete because I wrote it quite a while ago. So I'm going to be making revisions, but I can certainly walk you through it real quick. Also note that I did just recently commit this project. I think I put a link. Yeah, there's a link down in the description box for the project repository. So also that is going to be open source and available for people to learn from. So anyways, just so everyone knows, the repo is, of course, it's at GitHub, and it is my, I'm not sure what you call that, my GitHub account is Bracket Cove, and then the project is Postrainer. There's one called Postrainer OS. I'm actually going to be deleting that one, so if you're grabbing stuff from that one, it's, it used to be two different projects, and I only want it to be one project now, in brief. So I will get to that, Vikas, but first, so basically what I've been doing before for dependency injection is for every class that I need to inject, so for example, doesn't really matter what class, but just for argument's sake, this scheduler provider class, I create a class called, it doesn't look like I have one open. I create a class called an injection class. So for example, I would call it scheduler injection. And then what I do is I have both a mock version of it and a production version. I don't have time to explain what that is now because I've gone over it a lot in the past couple of days. But so yeah, and then I just inject either, I inject the class I want. In the case where there's situations where I would want a fake class or an immediate scheduler provider instead of an actual scheduler provider, that's when I would use a dependency injection setup. Now the thing about this is I'm pretty happy with how simple it is to set this stuff up, but at the same time, Dagger 2, everyone really likes it. I've never actually used it. I don't think it's that complicated, but I want to learn how to use it, so that's going to be my primary thing today. Anyways, just before I get to that, Vikas, one of my viewers, was wondering if I could go over the alarm code. So I'll go over it a little bit briefly. If you have any questions about it, let me know as I'm speaking, because better learning experience that way. So, and again, like, bear in mind that some of this code is over a year old, and it's only the past year that I've really been programming Android consistently. So anyways, without further ado, let's figure out where it is. Interesting. That's a little funny. I feel like I'm missing some components. That's a little odd. Maybe I'm just crazy. Or maybe I accidentally deleted them. Oh no, I put them into data, sorry. That's the problem. I have a terrible memory, so I forget the changes I make to stuff, and it takes my brain a minute. Okay, so there's kind of... So Vikas is asking about how I set up my alarms in my application. So that's what I'm going to be talking about for the next 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. So there's kind of two things. There's two important things when setting alarms. There's a lot of important things, but the big things. One of your activities is going to have to set the alarm, and then what happens is when the alarm goes off, it starts an activity. So I'll go into the actual code, but just the broad strokes, that's kind of how it works. So the activity that I'm going to be using to set an alarm will be... I'm I'm in the wrong project. I was wondering why... Wait a minute, create account? What? I'm in the wrong friggin' project. Okay, I'm gonna have to open up Postrainer. I'm sorry, I woke up like less than an hour ago, so... let's open up the actual project. It's probably gonna lag for a minute. Sorry about that. They're so similar in name, Profiler and Postrainer, that I didn't even pick it, clue in. Let's fire back some more coffee. And if you're wondering why I just stopped talking for a moment there, it's because my computer lags. I'm working on that scenario, that problem. But so basically, anytime I do a Gradle build or something like that, I basically don't talk because it's not actually the stream lagging; it's my CPU is only able to handle so much. Okay, let's try this again with the actual proper project. So let's close that down, and let's look. Where's the thing to click and drag this? Come on. There we go. Okay. So let me just remind myself really quickly about this packet structure. So there's two main things. You're going to want an activity or activities that set an alarm. In my case, I have this reminder list activity. And what I do, let me pull up the layout really quickly, and then I'll just kind of show you. It'll be a visual example. What is that called? Fragment reminder list? No, I'll just show you one example of an alarm. That's actually a better idea. Item, is it called? Yeah. All right, so I'll show you one item alarm widget if it loads. Okay. So it's got a whole bunch of crap on it. So as you can see here, I've got an activity which displays a list of these things here, these alarm widgets. Let me zoom in a bit. And this toggle button here is what sets the alarm, is what calls the appropriate method to set the alarm. So that's the first important thing, is that this is the activity that sets the alarm. So let's hop into activity reminder list. Actually, I'm not sure if, okay, this is going to be kind of difficult because I haven't written the code yet. Is it all still in here? I'm not entirely sure where I put the code to actually set an alarm. I feel like I didn't delete it. That would have been pretty silly, but I might have. Yeah, it's definitely not there. Probably not alarm activity. Fragment. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I will deal. I might have deleted that code because I do silly things, or I just moved it somewhere and forgot about it. So let's pull up the repository and I'll show you the code there. All is not lost. We will work with this. So let's go to, I'll go to an older commit. Let's do initial commit, and it should be there. And can I browse the files? Yes. I hope I still have the code in here. Okay, so that would have been in reminder. Sorry, you know, let's go to Postrainer open because I know that one has the code. Sorry, I know I'm bouncing all over the place here. And then main. And that would have been in UI, activity reminders, I think. And yes, okay, here we go. So the first thing, this code here, can I zoom in on that? Yeah. Okay, so this code unfortunately doesn't exist in the other project. I will rewrite it. But for now, Vika's just asked how the alarm thing works. So just in brief, to set an alarm, you need to do a bit of ceremony. There's some stuff here. And the important thing about setting alarms is that it's not that complicated, but there's a lot of little things you need to remember. And that's one thing I learned in doing this. So the first thing is this calendar object. How this works is so first thing you do, create a calendar object here. So I just say calendar.getInstance, whatever. And the next thing I do is I set this calendar. Alarm is not a good name for that. That shouldn't be called that, but just bear with me. I set this calendar object to the current system time in milliseconds. So that's the first thing I do. So for example, for me it's 9:14 a.m. So we get the current system time for, that's what it would say in milliseconds, since like 19 whatever, I can't remember. And then what we do is I say, okay, let's grab the hour of day and the minute from the reminder. So what is a reminder? A reminder is the object that one of these things represents. Why don't I just pull up the class? So a reminder can be set up with an hour of day and a minute and all that kind of stuff. It's got some other things like is active, vibrate only, renew automatically, that kind of stuff. Okay. So we set the hour of day on this calendar object. Now the important thing to note is that if this value, the combined value of hour of day and minute, is if the alarm gets set and this value is like before right now, hopefully that makes sense, then I'm basically setting an alarm for a point in time earlier today. So the way that I handle that problem, this is one of the nitpicky little things. The way that I handle that problem is I have this little method here, check alarm. And I stole this from Stack Overflow. I think I wrote this is the guy who wrote this on Stack Overflow. So all you do is if check alarm discovers that I'm setting an alarm for a time which is earlier than the present moment, it bumps that time to the next day. It sets alarm for the next day by adding that what is equivalent of a day in milliseconds, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So that's basically that's the first little stop. I'll just break for one moment. Taras Zopnik, hopefully I pronounced that right, asks which is a better tutorial for RX Java 2. I'm not going to be able to answer a huge number of questions, but just in brief, for RX Java 2, I would strongly suggest checking out YouTube Jake Wharton RX Java 2. That's Jake Wharton. I can't type. RX Java 2. He does a really good talk on it. Also, I have some stuff on my channel. I have a live stream app that I'm building, and I do a lesson on RX Java 2. You're probably going to want to watch Jake's stuff first, but that would be my suggestion. As for Dagger 2 and best practices for injection helpers, that's actually something that I'm learning later today. Anyways, I've got to move on and stick with this, otherwise I'll get sidetracked. So yeah. So that's the first thing. Check the alarm and make sure you're not setting an alarm for earlier today, for example. The next thing you do, and this is how you kind of, this is another important thing. The next thing you do is whenever you want to set an alarm, which happens down here with this alarm manager.set inexact repeating, you need to satisfy the parameters of this set inexact repeating method down here. This is the method that actually sets the alarm. So, as you can see down here, it's got a couple different special little special little parameters. Vikas, I'm sure you're totally capable of doing this. Have a look at the different options. You're going to want to check out its setting repeating alarms, I think. Scheduling repeating alarms. So you're going to want to go through and have a look at which alarm type down here is best for you. In my case, that was... where's the code? Oops. In my case, that was set inexact repeating. I don't want to... There's a couple different things. I don't want to set like an exact alarm, and it just works out that RTC wake up is the appropriate alarm type for me. I can't exactly remember why. You also say, so then I call alarm.getTime in milliseconds. That's, of course, from this thing here. And to call it alarm, that's why it's kind of silly. But whatever, I'm nitpicking. That's the time when we want to wake the phone up. This is the kind of alarm. This is, so if the alarm is supposed to renew automatically, this parameter says renew it in a day, interval day. And then the last important thing about this is that you have to supply it with an intent. Okay, it looks like Vikas is following. Awesome. So you have to supply it with an intent. This is the next kind of important thing. So the way that you set up this intent, and this is the intent which will be fired when the alarm goes off, you set up a normal intent. So in this case, I just fire this alarm receiver activity. And I put some extras in it. Vibrate only. So these things are self-explanatory. I don't need to explain that. But I put a couple of extras in there. And then we create a pending intent. Now, there's a really, really weird thing. This is another thing that I ran into when I built this. There's a weird thing with pending intents. If I recall correctly, so most of these things make sense. Like we passed this in, probably it just needs that to get context or something like that. we pass our intent in. That's, of course, the intent that we want to start. And then we pass like a flag here. All this does is it says if this same pending intent works, if for some reason this same intent already exists, we want to update it. This is where things get weird with alarm intent. You're going to notice that I have this little parameter here, reminder.getCreationDate. Reminder.getCreationDate is just an arbitrary unique identifier. I believe you can set pending intents without this, or you can just supply like 0 or 1. If you don't do that, it screws with your intent. So if you don't, I can't remember this exactly. I just remember that if you don't explicitly set a unique identifier for an alarm, you're not able to update. How can I explain it? Let's say I set this pending intent twice. Like I've got a user tapping the toggle button a couple times. If I did not set a unique identifier, I wouldn't be able to have multiple alarms. That's the first thing. And also, there's a weird thing where if you don't set, I think if you don't set this, let's pull up the code. What is that? That's a pending intent. Let me just pull it up and that'll be easier. We'll just look at the actual parameters. Pending intent. Now, they might have fixed this at this point, but we're going to see. Get activities, request code. Which was the one I used? I think I used this one. No, that has an array of intents. Whatever, just for argument's sake, I'm going to pick this one. This request code, right, so this is not a very descriptive parameter comment. This request code is really important. There's a couple things. That is how you keep track of multiple alarms at the same time, which is an issue. And then the only other thing is if you don't set this request code, I don't think your intent always retains its extras, which probably is unintended, but that's a really important thing to note. So I just wanted to really belabor that there's, if you don't set this up properly, the intent extras, these extras won't actually show up. They'll be null in the activity which receives the intent. So I just really wanted to emphasize that because that's something which pissed me off really bad. And then Vikas asks, what's the intent code? I'm not sure what you mean by that. What's the intent code? Do you mean like this? Oh, you mean like in alarm activity receiver? Jeevan asks, can you please say to me when exactly to use share compact.intent builder? I don't know what that is, buddy. Sorry. I'm an intermediate Android developer. Okay, well, I'm gonna... Oh, I thought I did, but maybe... Well, I create a basic intent, and put these extras in, and then I create a pending intent with these things. I'm not sure what else you mean. Do you mean like the activity that this intent fires, or? Maybe I'm explaining something poorly here. I kind of wish I could turn my stream latency down. Okay, looks like he's all good, so we're going to carry on. So let's... I don't think I need this thing anymore. Let's open up alarm activity. Okay. So in the actual project that I'm working on, I've created this component called alarm receiver. I'm just saying this so that if you look at the repository, it's easy for you to know what things are what. I'm gonna... Let's just close all this shit. I feel like there's a hotkey to... a shortcut key to close all tabs, but I keep forgetting what it is. Okay, so let's pull up alarm activity. Now, just as a quick sort of aside for me, one of the big challenges that I need to figure out is how do I decouple this code from the activity? So that's something I'm going to be thinking about probably next week. But anyways, that's an interesting little side project. So this, of course, so when the alarm goes off, it's going to fire alarm activity, of course, and the next thing is, so this activity is going to start. It's going to call on create. The first thing we want to do is we want to wake the phone up. So we're going to say get wake lock. So all that does is we get our wake lock by talking to the power manager, Powerman 5000, and we excuse me, that's a band, Powerman 5000. I used to, sorry, tangent. I used to listen to them when I was like 12. So anyways, we get our power manager and blah, blah, blah. This code, I don't think I need to really explain it. It just wakes the phone up. And then we say wake lock acquire. This was something that other people explained to me earlier. So when you call acquire, the CPU will remain on. So you need to make sure that you call wake lock release as soon as the alarm is dismissed. The islarm. And okay. So then the next thing we do is one sec. So I don't remember what this code does expressly, so we'll have to skip over that, but it's kind of peripheral to alarms, I think. But this code might be important. I honestly don't remember why I needed it, or if I need it. This might have to do with turning the screen on and stuff like that, but let's just move on. I can't really explain that and really help the situation. Okay, and the next thing, what else do we have? So we've got set content view. That should probably, well, whatever. That should be below that, actually. And then we set up alarm fragment. That's extra code we won't worry about. So then we've got reminder item equals get intent. Did I... Okay, this might be something that I changed in the new thing, but I don't remember setting an intent or alarm, did I? As an extra? Oh no, I totally did. I just named it poorly. It shouldn't just be bundle item. That's a dumb name. But okay, so I pass a reminder object, which you can think of as like an alarm, in. And then I grab it here. And of course, I check if this alarm needs to be renewed automatically. If it does need to be renewed automatically, I don't change it. If it basically, all this is saying, again, I don't really need to explain this to a lot of you because you're experienced programmers, but just for people who are watching, what this code does is it says, if the alarm does not renew automatically, make sure that it's set to false. Make sure that it's no longer active. And then the next thing we do, get intent, get boolean extra. That's basically it. And then the rest of the stuff is kind of peripheral. So Vikas, hopefully that explains a fair amount. The code in here, I need to work on this code, so I don't really want to keep explaining stuff because there's not really anything else to explain. But does that kind of help you out? Also, in the meantime, Vegito asks if I can explain. Awesome, glad I could help, Vikas. So Vegito is asking param intent dot get boolean extra. I could probably just copy it over. That'd be quicker. Goof. Oh, copied his name. Okay. Can I explain this code? Param intent. I'm gonna assume this is just of type intent. So all this is doing is it's just so this is just how you get an intent extra. So this would be a key, for example, something like this. Generally speaking, if you're doing like a if you're doing, so this is a key value pair. Generally speaking, if you're doing like a key static variable, I guess it depends on if it's static or not, but if it's static, you're going to want to make that just by convention param string 2. Just if it is static by convention, you're going to want to make it uppercase. Maybe it's not, but generally I think these things should be static. And all this does is it just gets a boolean, and then so what it's going to do is it's going to check this intent if there is a boolean value at the key location param string 2. If that's not the case, if I recall correctly, I think this is the default. So if I don't find a value there, make the value false because that's the default. Let me just verify that so that I'm not talking out of my ass here. But I think that's how that works. So that's just going to be intent. Intent. I'll just verify that really quickly. What am I looking for? Get boolean extra. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was correct. That's just a default value. This one here is just if this value doesn't come up as being set. Here's a cool aside. So I learned this listening to Fragmented podcast. They were talking to Jake Wharton, and one of the things he mentioned is that intent is basically, I believe it's just a map object. Obviously, it's a wrapper. Intent is a wrapper around a map. So all that's going to happen is this thing's going to check that map for a value at that location, the location being param string 2. If it doesn't find that value, it's going to give us false as a default value. So that's basically it. Oh, Jesus. So, Homeless Hobo is asking me, how do you handle Firebase auth when dealing with multiple activities? I can tell you how I do that. It's just it would take a long time. Homeless Hobo, that's an awesome name, by the way. You still managed to have a computer, so I guess you've got your priorities straight for a homeless hobo. What I'm going to suggest to you on Saturday, at a time I haven't actually decided yet, and Saturday is tomorrow, I'm actually going to be working on Profiler, which is my other project. I guess I closed it stupidly. In that, you're going to, what I would suggest, watch that cast tomorrow and ask me the same question, and I'll answer it for you then. I simply don't have time now because as much as I'd like to sit here for a couple hours answering questions, I do have some of my own work to do. But that's my suggestion to you. That's a really good question, though. I'll give you a hint. Don't have any Firebase code in your activities. That's the way I solved it. So, but the answer is way more complicated than that. Okay, so and then what about creating constants in one class? Uh, I, to be honest, like creating constants in one class, like you could basically think of this as a constant. Um, that would be my answer to you, Srikanth. Like this is an example of creating a constant. Do you have a more specific question or? Anyways, while I wait for an answer on that, the question was just what about creating constants in one class? That would be how I would go about doing it. Or you can also like there's different classes that have static constants that you can use. Anyways, okay, so what we're gonna do next is I'm going to pull up the docs on Dagger 2, and I'm going to learn Dagger 2 on camera. I looked at it very briefly, but I've never actually used it, so I think this will be kind of a fun thing to do. User docs. Okay. So first things first, before I learn how to use Dagger, I want to know how to add it via Gradle. So I'll see if I can find that. This is an explanation of what dependency injection is. Yeah, these are, okay, this is just an explanation of the various things. Here we go. So this is what I want. This is how we set up Dagger 2. Let's see. You will need to include the Dagger 2x jar in your application's runtime in order to activate the code generation. So it's so I do need to download a jar, I guess. Whoa, that is really zoomed in. Okay. Okay, so I need to add a jar to my application's runtime. Compile time. Android Gradle. Oh, here we go. All right, this is the thing I want. Oh, sweet. Okay, good. I don't think I do have to add any jars. I'm happy about that because I really am not a big fan of doing that. If I can avoid it whenever possible. See, yeah, okay. I'm using a more current version of Gradle than that. Okay, so if I'm correct, I just fire these into my dependencies and my build Gradle rather. Let's hit Control-Shift-M, build.gradle. I'm going to pull up the module app. No, I clicked on the wrong one. God friggin' damn it. Control-Shift-N. Okay, I opened the wrong one again. Holy crap. Come on, Ryan. Do you even want to write code? There we go. So pull up your app level build Gradle and slap this shit in. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to run a Gradle sync, and while that's happening, I'm going to run an ad. So if you're using an ad blocker, it would help me out if you turned it off while you're watching the stream. And also, if you're enjoying it so far, it will also help me out if you hit the like button below. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to play an ad and do a Gradle sync because I can't talk doing the Gradle sync anyway. Oh, okay. So I'm an idiot because obviously X is not a valid version number. Okay, let's try that. What's the most current version? Oops, no. Gradle. Oh, wow, that's kind of a weird 210-RC2. Okay. So that's going to be, I think, 210-RC2? Okay. So I'm going to try Gradle Sync again. Okay, sweet. So for those, I see we have a couple viewers right now. For those of you who are just joining me, what I'm about to do is, my application uses dependency injection already, and what I wanted to do is it uses my own sort of, not my own, but it uses like a non-third-party way of doing dependency injection, and everyone's been talking about how amazing Dagger 2 is, so I wanted to learn how to use Dagger 2. So I am learning this as I go, so it's not going to be super scripted and all that, but hopefully me demonstrating to you actually learning something on the fly might actually be more useful than me just telling you about it, but we'll see. Okay, so let's give her. I believe Dagger 2 is set up now. Because I'm using Gradle, I just need to add these things in. And let's check out the docs. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Using Dagger. Okay, Dagger constructs instances of your application class and satisfies their dependencies. It uses a blah 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 annotation to identify which constructors and fields it is interested in. Okay, so it heavily uses annotations, so that's the first thing. So what here's my goal. I already know how to do dependency injection to a degree. I apologize if you don't even know what that is. Hopefully in watching this video, you'll start to understand it. I already kind of do a version of that. So in my mock and let's go back to the project view. In my mock and production source sets, I have a couple different classes called reminder injection or scheduler injection. And what these classes do is all they do is they have one static method called provide whatever, provide the thing I need, and it just calls a getInstance method from whichever class that it's providing, that it's injecting. So I need to model this same behavior except using except using Dagger 2. So what I need to figure out, in my mind, I think my best approach for this is I need to figure out how to write the same code except using Dagger 2 annotations. That's my working hypothesis on how I need to do this, but I don't actually know that yet, so we'll see. Dagger can inject fields directly. Inject. Okay. Okay. Okay, so important things to note. Interfaces can't be constructed. Do I... Okay, so I'm probably going to need to use provides. That's an important thing. Let's check out the documentation, because as good as this guide is, I'm not good at learning things by reading a wall of text. That doesn't really help. Not yet, anyway. Alright, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not learning well by reading this guide, and that's no fault of the guide. It's mostly my fault because I don't learn well reading text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a project on GitHub, I don't know which one yet, that has Dagger 2. I have a pretty good idea. Let's go to Android Blueprints. No, that's not it. Oh, I think it's called Architecture Blueprints. Really? Oh, it's looking in. Is it looking in my? Oh yeah, it was looking. My mistake. It was looking in my repository because I'm a dumbass. Okay. And that's not okay for Sulka Bliet Android Blueprints. All right, this is the one. Okay. So here's Dagger 2. So this is an application which uses Dagger 2, and that's probably going to be more useful to me than the other thing. So we've got a couple things. So what I need to do is I need to figure out what classes do I need to make. Let's make a notepad here, and that'll be better for you guys. I would normally have like a pen and paper sitting beside me, but since obviously I'm streaming, that's not so helpful. There's my website to-do list. Okay, so let's this is, let's zoom in, and we're gonna say Dagger 2. Oops. Okay. So I need to see how they do dependency injection in here. So let's go to a class that uses dependency injection, and that would be a good place to start. Let's check out maybe tasks and task activity. This repository that I'm looking at is Android-Architecture from Google Samples. It's all open source, and it's written by really good developers, far better than me, so I would strongly suggest you use this repository as a reference for your own code as much as possible. Okay, so they inject the presenter. Interesting. That's a little different than what I do, but that's fine. Dagger task component.builder. Okay, so first question, what is Dagger tasks component.builder? Okay, so that's my first question. What is Dagger task component.builder? Let's look at the documentation. I'm going to go to tree. This is the Dagger 2 docs. Was that it? Component builder? Dagger. That's not the exact class name, so I'm a little confused about that. Is that something that's generated at runtime? Dagger tasks component. Where is it? Content. Visible for testing. Okay, so maybe I guess that's probably something that's generated at runtime, perhaps? Okay, well, let's just look at this. Let's look at this component builder class. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is let's look at their presenter. Does it have any annotations that I need to worry about? Okay, so first note. For a class which needs to be injected, use the @inject, or possibly the @provides. Is it provides? I forget already. Dagger provides. Okay, or the provides method. So that's important. Okay. Next thing. let's see here. Let's check out. So I know that in the class. Okay, in the class which has components which need to be injected, you may inject components via @inject or possibly @provides. So why am I taking the time to write this out in plain English for me? Because I'm a native English speaker, but why would I take the time to... So what I'm doing right now is a big thing that I found when learning programming is that if you get bogged down in understanding one little piece, you're going to be sitting there for hours. All I'm trying to do right now is piece things together. Okay, I see this, get a little bit of information here. So I'm building like a bigger picture. That's the way I like to learn it. So it's basically important to note that we have an inject annotation here for the component that we wish to inject. And let's check out the, what's that? Oh, that's visible for testing. Okay. And the next thing we'll do is let's check out this presenter, which is called tasks presenter. So we're going to go to that, I think. And what does tasks presenter say? Does it have any annotation stuff? It does. Okay. Inject? What does it need to inject? So this is a constructor. Okay. In components to be injected, their constructor may need an @inject annotation. I don't actually know if this is true. I am making a supposition about this code I'm looking at, and I'm going to see if I can prove this wrong. So don't take this as me telling you that a component that needs to be injected must have that. I don't know that yet. I'm making assertions. Okay. And set up listeners. So why do these two need to have the inject annotation? Method injection. Okay. Okay, so I learned something new about Dagger. You can inject methods. Method injection. I kind of didn't really know that. Cool. So I'm going to copy this code in. This is just for my own notes. And I'm going to put it in my notes. Boom. Also note that I take time to explain things in my own words. That's really helpful for learning. Okay. And is there anything else important here? Doesn't look like it. So the next thing I noticed is that, and I recall this from looking at Dagger 2 earlier, is that I believe Dagger creates modules, or maybe you need to create modules. Okay, here we go. So so I'm going to ask myself a question again. What is a Dagger 2 module? Now I'm going to try and answer that question. So hopefully, as you can see here, I'm building up a web of information. This is a Dagger module. We use this to pass in the view dependency, blah, 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 to the task presenter. So is this satisfying the dependencies of the task presenter? provides. Okay, quick note. We're using the provides annotation here. Because this is an annotation. So that's something I just verified. I hate this indenting is irritating. Stop tabbing shit over, you silly program. Okay. So let's skip that. Let's skip that for now. I just learned that if you wish to inject an interface, i.e., what's it called? Task. Come on, brain. Alarm. No, reminder. Detail. Contract.view. So now what I'm doing is I'm looking at other information, but I'm starting to try and sort of work it into something I already know. So this is from my own software architecture. So I'm trying to see how this information relates to my software architecture, because I understand my architecture fairly well. If you wish to inject an interface, use the @provides annotation. Okay. This is Dagger module. So let's look up what is a Dagger module. That's my next question. What is a Dagger module? Building the graph. Okay. So the inject and provides annotation classes form a graph. Let me zoom in. That was too much. Okay, here we go. So this is the code I'm looking at, the text I'm looking at. The inject and provides annotation classes form a graph of objects linked by their dependencies. Calling code like an application's main method or Android application accesses the graph of blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. Component coffee shop interface coffee maker. Coffee shop. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll look at their code, the Android Blueprints code. Okay, so in the activity which creates their presenter, they have this builder class, and then .tasks repository component. Okay, so here's a key question. What is the difference between a component and a module? And I suspect a lot of my answers are going to appear if I can answer that question to myself. So in this case, we have a builder, and it creates both a component out of tasks repository. Get tasks repository component. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's look at a tasks repository component. Why do we differentiate between a component and a module? Okay, I want to know what a component is, thank you. tasks repository component.class. Modules. Okay, so now I'm just going to go to Stack Overflow because I need to know this. Okay, so Dagger to component verse module. And I see I'm not the only one to ask this question. Okay. Okay, so create app module which provide all objects will be used when the app is open. Huh. This is, I know this is boring to watch, but this is the reality of learning code, is that it's not a fast process. At least for me, it isn't a fast process. Okay, so let's, do you guys give me any hints about this? No. Okay, so Dagger 2 is a fully static compile time dependency injection, blah, blah, blah. So we create, okay, so they create the presenter in the activity. I'm clear on that. But in this sample, the presenter is injected, and Dagger 2 takes care of creation. So are they creating it, but it's not tied to the activity's life cycle? I see what they're doing. So they're using dependency injection kind of everywhere in this application, it would seem. Task presenter module. So a presenter requires a view. And this class, I believe, describes the dependencies. There's a seagull outside my window that won't shut the hell up. It's pretty annoying. Just like, bah, bah, bah. Task presenter module. Provide task contract view. All right, so what does this thing do? It satisfies the dependencies of tasks presenter. Okay. So modules satisfy the dependencies of a class. Did I already write that down? Probably. Okay. So this task presenter module class satisfies those dependencies. Cool. Task presenter. Task view. So here's, I'll just take a moment here. So here's the difficulty of what's going on. So it appears that Dagger uses a lot of different little classes and a lot of different little special words like component and module and all these different things. So the difficulty is seeing how all of these things fit together. The way that my brain works, I can't understand Dagger by first reading what a module is and then reading what a component is. I have to see how everything talks, how everything communicates, and it's difficult to do that. So I'm going to keep working on this. But I do apologize if this is really boring to watch, but this stream at the moment is really about me dicking around with my own code, and that's what it's going to be. Okay. Here's the thing that I'm trying to understand. Okay, so we've got this tasks presenter module. It quite obviously satisfies the dependencies of the task presenter class, or at least the view dependency. Module. Is it that a module provides something and then a component injects something? That can't be right. Component. Oops, sorry. I can't seem to find a happy medium with this zoom thing. Okay, satisfying dependencies. Okay, so Dagger creates an instance of the requested type as described above. When you request a coffee maker, it'll obtain one by calling new coffee maker and setting its injectable fields. Okay. Use inject to annotate the constructor that Dagger should use to create an instance of a class. So I understand that. So the task presenter constructor uses the inject annotation. Cool. Next thing, Dagger can inject fields directly. Okay, so Dagger can inject fields directly. In this example, it obtains a heater instance. Okay. So here's the problem. Here's my issue. So they've taken the time to explain that you've got two ways of that you can inject fields directly, or you can add the inject annotation to the constructor of a class that you wish to inject, I believe. No, you add it to the constructor of the class which needs their dependencies satisfied. Now the problem is what they're and believe me, I'm not shitting on them because this Dagger 2 is amazing. But the issue here is what they're leaving out here is when would I don't know what a heater class looks like. Why is it that I can just inject it without doing the other stuff? Is it because how is that different? If your class has inject annotated fields but no inject annotated... Okay, that doesn't... Okay, so that's invoked when a heater is required. Provide. What? Oh, because it's static? Oh. For those who are just watching now, I'm trying to figure out how to use Dagger 2. I've never used it before, so this is my first sort of go at it. Okay. So one of the important things I need to know is when would I use provides and when would I use inject? Now, they're explaining it here to a degree. Okay. Okay, so this is really key here. So all provides methods. Well, these are just methods. They're not. All provides methods must belong to a module. Oh. Let's go back to the activity. Okay. So let's check out the activity. Okay. Dagger task component. Dagger task component. Oh, okay. So is that's a class? Dagger task component. Okay. So building the graph. I don't know what the graph is. Singletons and scope bindings. Dagger task component. Come on. This is a Dagger component. Okay, Dagger component versus module. No. No, that doesn't help. All right. Oh, I gotta crack a window. I'm sweating. Ugh. Okay. Well, not a very exciting stream for today, but that's okay. This is the reality of Ryan learning how to program. Okay, by marking the constructor with inject, Dagger injects the dependencies required to create an instance of the tasks presenter. It uses tasks presenter module to do so. So I think one of the main issues here, again, is that some of this Dagger code is generated. So that makes things a little confusing as well. It's probably really useful, but it makes things confusing. we need to... I need to focus on, like, just things one at a time here, so... This is how you create a presenter. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop staring at this crap, and I'm going to figure out... Sorry, not crap. I'm going to stop staring at this stuff. Sorry, that's the English language. Crap and shit is used for everything, and it's not necessarily a negative connotation. I am going to see... Let's look at one of my classes, and let's figure out how to make great Dagger 2 work with one of my classes. So, my fragment classes currently use what I'll just call manual dependency injection. I don't think that is the right word, but my own sort of non-Dagger method of doing it. Alright, so I need to create a presenter. Dagger tasks component .builder. So what I do know is that my presenter is going to need a module. Where's the friggin... Where's the thing? Where's my notes? Okay. Or provides. Okay, so I'm going to try and... Let's do it this way. So this presenter is known through an interface. So I annotate it with provides, I think. No, let's not take that approach. Interface, use the provides annotation. What's it? Okay. So let's see here. I've got the other code off to the side. I apologize about that, but I'm tired of tabbing between things. Vegito asks, hey, he heard about my profiler project tomorrow. Am I going to use Firebase Facebook integration? I probably will do that down the road. It won't be tomorrow, though. I'm keeping the Firebase stuff really limited just for the first build, but I'm going to be implementing chat. I would like to do Facebook and Google Plus logins and all that stuff, or I guess Google account logins, so I will do that. The first iteration won't, though, just because, you know, it's extra things to worry about in the scope of learning how to use Firebase, the basics of it. Okay. Alright, I really want to figure this out. Okay. Okay, so this thing, I believe, needs to say provides. Nope. Doesn't. Why not? Because this thing is an interface. Oh, this is confusing. I sure wish... Okay, Android. Oh! Let's look at this guide. Maybe this will be a little helpful. I don't know, but... Okay, Dagger and Android. Oh, so I was probably looking at the wrong thing. So Dagger assumes that the user will use ProGuard. That's fine. One of the central difficulties in writing an application using Dagger is that many Android framework classes are instantiated by the OS itself. But Dagger works best if it can create all the injected objects. Instead, you have to perform members injection in a lifecycle method. This means that many classes end up looking like do first, and then you inject the class that you need, apparently. This has a few problems. Copy-pasting code makes it hard to refactor later on. That's true. Yep. It requires a type request. Okay. Oh, wow. So we're just getting into even more complicated stuff here. So I don't want to inject fragments or that stuff. Okay, FAQ. Why is binds different? Ah! I hate it when people explain jargon with jargon. I understand that you have to sometimes, but provides the most common construct for configuring a binding. What's a construct? What is binding? Yeah, that doesn't answer my question either. Constructors and fields. Okay. The problem is I'm not trying to create my presenter through dependency injection. I just... Is that true? Is that a true statement? Maybe I am. No, that actually is what I'm trying to do. So let's look at this again. Okay, dagger.builder. Dagger.builder. What? Component builder. Builder for a component. Components may have a single nested... Okay. Okay. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? This is probably really damn boring to watch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop streaming for now. If I figure this out, I will probably stream again for whatever 20 minutes today just to... if I do figure it out. This is really irritating me, and I really want to solve it, so I'm probably going to spend the next 4 hours trying to do that. So if I figure it out, I'll pop the stream on. This is probably really boring for people to watch, so I'm going to call it for now. But if I might not stream. If I don't stream later, I will be streaming my profiler build tomorrow. And that's going to be a lot less of this kind of stuff and a lot more me talking about Firebase and unit testing and RxJava and lots of cool stuff like that. So that's going to be probably all for now today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.